Here we have our two pieces of paper that we're going to make our template for our back. What we're going to do is we are going to place them together and tape them together as nicely as we can, and then we are going to make a rectangle that's 14.5 by 3.5. Now that I have it taped together, I am going to fold it in half right along that tape seam as our center point. And then we can start laying this out. We know that our part needs to be 3.5 inches tall and 14.5 inches long. So I'm going to lay out 3.5 inches tall first. And then 14.5 inches. For that, I'm going to divide it in half, and that's how far from this edge I'm going to mark it over. 14.5 divided by 2 is 7.25. And now I'm going to take a scissors and cut this out on that line. Now we have our piece of paper here that matches our block of wood fairly closely. What we're going to do is we're going to fold it back in half again. And then on half of this, we are going to draw our design. We want it to be the full height on the ends and very close to the full height in the middle. So you can just come up with whatever design you want. There's my simple design. You can do as many wigglies as you want to do. Just remember, the more complicated this is, the harder it's going to be to sand, and the harder it's going to be to cut out. So now we're going to cut. Make sure that your corners are even. This tape kind of makes it harder to keep everything even. So fold it over tight, pinch it the best you can. Try not to cut your fingers. There's my design. Unfold it. It should be symmetric. Now what we're going to do is we are going to place this on top of our piece of wood and trace it. It is kind of hard to trace because it is paper. It will fold on you. If it ends up like this, where you have a double line, that's okay. Or if the lines are kind of wiggly like this, that is okay. This is just for looks, so we are going to sand that until it looks nice. So we're going to cut close to the line and then sand it close enough to our line so it looks nice. I'm going to go cut this on the bandsaw and sand it, and then be right back. Here we have our 4 pieces cut out. Now what we need to do is we need to router some of these edges. So on our top, it says to router the bottom edge along the short sides and one of the longs. So here, if this is my top, doesn't matter, whichever side looks nicer, that's when you want to make the top. And just for sanding's sake, I'll make this my top. So what we want to do is we want to sand this bottom edge right here along one of the long edges, and then along the 2 shorts. So that edge there and that edge there. On our back, it says to router the front bottom curve only. So on our front of this piece, you're going to router the curved edge only on that front edge. Not on the back, on the front. Just this edge. Do not router the shorts or the long or anything else. Just that curved edge. And then it says to router both of the curves on the brackets. So on the bracket here, we're going to router along both of these 2 curves. So router one edge, flip it over, router this edge.